Hello and welcome to Fulton Street Beats. Today we're going to start work on the Yngwie Malmsteen Strat. And if you're not familiar with what this is going to be, we are trying to replicate, at least as close as possible, a Yngwie Malmsteen Stratocaster on a budget of $500 or less. So we've got a video that is coming out or may already be out by the time you watch this of the unboxing of most of the things for this particular Stratocaster. This body is by Guitar Fetish, and this is a XGP body. Super nice and really nice finish on it. And this is what we're going to be using. As you can see, it's undrilled for pit guard, undrilled for cavity cover. Sometimes it's the little touches that matter, such as the cavity cover. Is the placement right? Is it placed correctly according to Fender standards? Now, I don't have a schematic for placement on this. So what I'm looking at is an old Stratocaster. It's actually an $80,000 old, I think it's a 62 Strat. And I'm trying to determine my measurements from the photos. And this is the best photo I could find because that's kind of how I want to set this up because, well, the 62 is the kind of style of the body. So that's what we're rolling with here. So we have a really nice cover here that came in, and there's links in the descriptions to all the parts in the unboxing videos. So, but I need to fit this truss rod, or I'm sorry, this cavity cover here and know exactly where it goes. Now, how am I going to do that? Well, pretty simple, but you're going to need a micrometer for it. So what you're going to do is you're going to find a decent photo, whatever year you're deciding you want to roll with, and we're going to take some measurements based off of this photo. So we're going to start by miking this, and I'm going to come across here. It'll help if we turn it on, but I'm going to come across here and I'm going to mic my opening and see where we're at. And we're at 56.6 on the mic. So I'm going to come over here, and hopefully if my picture's blown up right, we're going to be about that here. Yes, we are. We're about 56.6 across. Now, can vary a little bit depending on camera angle, but I think we're pretty close. And what's going to make you determine if you're really close or not is we're going to take these, now we're going to take this hole spacing. Now that we know the cavity spacing is correct here, okay, we're going to take our hole spacing, and I'm going to go to center of each hole here, and we are at 75, about 75.9 approximation. We're working in approximations, and we should be the same here, which we are. See that? 75.9. So we're really close. Now, why am I doing this? Well, because now that I know we're in the realm, now I can mic this side over here and come up from the angle to the edge and find out where this hole needs to be. I can see where the old cavity cover actually sat. So if I take this down now, and I'm going to zero it out, and what I'm going to do is open this up here to there, okay? Bear with me. Zero it out. And now I'm going to determine my height. And it's about 3.6. So we're looking at 3.6. So I'm going to keep that measurement of 3.6 because that's where the cavity cover needs to sit on the top. And I'm simply going to space that off, that 3.6. Right there. I nailed it. Look at that. So we're at 3.6 right here. Okay, 3.6. So we know where the cavity cover is going to sit here. But what about on this side? Well, we do the same thing. So I can come over and I can see where the old cavity cover sat. So I'll come back, make sure it's zeroed out, come over to here. We are at about 10.7. So if we know that's here, we're going to come over 10.7 here. That's where the edge is going to sit. So we'll take another piece of tape. And as long as you got a good eyeball, these are pretty much the only measurements you're going to need to do this. So we're going to take this. We're at 10.7, like I said, and I'm just going to lay this right here. I can do it down here. There we are, 10.7. And I'm going to find where I'm the straightest here. Hopefully I got it. Nope, a little too far away. Now if this is straight, boom, we should be at exactly 10.7 and exactly 10.7. So now we have, you see this, now we have where this is going to sit. So if we do this in here, we can line that up with a 10.7, 10.7, we know this is right here. So we know the exact placement that's going to match this placement. I hope this makes sense to you, but what about the holes, right? So once we have this kind of in place right here, lined right up, we're going to take a dry erase marker, and I am simply going to mark the holes. Now this will tell us the body's cut right, because these holes, in theory, should be just like those holes. If this is truly a 62 cut body, at least a point. Yes, now we're looking pretty good across here. Now we can see that these are lining up kind of in proportion to what this is. And if we move this down or up, you'll see we're here and we're here. Everything is proportionately better. So we actually have now a good indication. So when people see this, they know exactly what's going on here. Now, I do things a little bit differently. Okay, I'm going to start just a minute drill hole in these, but I self-tap the screws. A lot of people don't do that. If you got a good body, you're not going to split it. Now make sure you're not too close to the edge where you're going to split, but if you've got a good body and good wood, it will not split. And if it splits, you got something bad. So keep that in mind. You can drill if you want to. I simply don't do it because I want, when these covers are removed and put on or removed and put on, I want as tight a fit as possible. And when you pre-drill, you're already taking away some of that pressure. Not that that's a right way, not that it's a wrong way, it's just my way. So let's keep that in mind. So what I'm going to do now is I'm actually going to take my drill bit. We're going to line up our holes again because we know this is exactly where I want it to be. And I'm going to stand over it. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to start just a little bit right there. And all what I'm doing is lightly. But why? Because this is going to make it so I don't crack the finish. Because I don't want to crack the finish. That is exactly why I'm doing it. And just do not move your cover while you do this. There we go. So now we can remove this plate. You see that we have all of our little marks here. We can go back through if we're not quite deep enough. Okay. 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 Now, there we have it. So now we have this, and we're not going to damage or chip out. Now, we also want to chafe these a little bit. I'm going to grab a file. If I have the right file in here. I think I got my right file set. Maybe I don't. We can chamfer this. We can just go around here and lightly chamfer the edges. If you do it in a circular motion, and you can get in there, and if you got a big enough file, you can just kind of roll it. There's that. So what we're going to do now is take our screws. And I want to get this, I'm trying to do this, we're going to have to remove it afterwards, and I'll show you what I'm going to do next here. But now we have the right location, and that's the whole thing I wanted to show you about how to approximate your location where the cover should be according to what year guitar or whatever. I mean, maybe they varied enough where it doesn't make a difference, but to me, I kind of wanted it accurate, so that's why I did it this way. Now, we're going to start this one here. We're going to get our drill bit in here. Now I'm going to let the screw do the work. I am not going to force anything. And so So these holes that I just, actually, let's start right here on the edge, because that's the one we'd be most worried about splitting, right? So we're going to let the screw very slowly. See that? Now there's nothing tight about that right now. And then we're going to start these. We'll make sure everything lines up very slowly. And why am I not going down all the way right now? I'll show you why. Okay, so there we are. So now this one was the one that we're most concerned about because it's really close to an edge, right? So I'm going to back this one out. Blow out the hole. Get rid of the debris. Now we can sink it. Same thing. Get rid of what you just cut. Sink it. And you'll find that it goes very easily now. And the debris will blow right out, just with your breath. But don't over tighten. You don't want to strip. You can do it by hand if you feel better doing it by hand, or if you know your drill, you know your screw gun's power and what setting you're at, you'll be able to do this just okay. Now, last one. And I don't know if you saw the debris blow out, but that's what happens. It blows right out. You actually cut it with the screw. And there we are. So now we're going to pull them all out again. So our holes are drilled. There we have it. Okay, so now that is set. And now I'm going to take my file again. And now we have enough where we can actually file out in there and make sure the debris out. Now you can see we didn't have any splitting or anything, which is very cool, right? There we go. Awesome, and I hope you guys can see that okay. But now we're going to get into the claw here. And guys, if you haven't seen, I polished up the Guitar Fetish vintage style American spacing tremolo bridge. Very cool. We're actually ordered new saddles for this Fender vintage. You'll go right on here. I really like this bridge a lot, so we're just gonna change the saddles. They're the same saddles, same specs. I just want the Fender logos on them, so that's what we're gonna do. Okay, so let's move this to the side. Now we're gonna deal with our claw. Now we don't want our claw on the bottom. We don't want that directly down here. Let me put my screws back in the bag here. We do not want the claw right down on the bottom. We don't want that. So we want it up a little bit. So I'm going to grab a little, see if I have something I can use for a spacer. That'll work. We're just going to space that up a little bit so it's not quite on the bottom. And get it in the center. And so we're even. There we are. And then once again, I'm going to take this dry erase. I'm going to hold this in like so. And I'm going to put a hole, or a mark right there where that needs to be drilled, and a mark right there where that needs to be drilled. Now, same thing, if you come in here, and make sure we're, you know what, I'm going to double check that. This looks a little touch off to me. There we are. So perfect. We just want a little bit of a space. You don't have to get technical with this. Just so the arm or the claw is not right on the bottom. So basically now when it sits in here, it's got room for movement. And that's where it's at. A lot of people put these in straight, and that's fine. But your claw's still going to move back and forth according to the tension that's on it. I hope that makes sense. Unless your bridge is straight across from it, it's not going to pull straight out. It will pull at an angle. So there's that. And now we'll go in here into our bag of tricks. What I need to do is get in here, and I need to mark this hole, at least a spot where this is going to go. And I'm going to do that again with this file. And what I'm going to do is hold this up where it was. I don't even need to. I'm going to do a center point, right? kind of here, and kind of here. There they are. There's my 2 center points. It's just a mark on there. It's not really a... Then, what I'm going to do is come in by hand and start this right at the starting point where it needs to be. Right there. Once again, a lot of people will drill these out, and you can, but you see this slight angle that I have there? That's a perfect starting point. And I still suggest that you start it like this, even if you're going to drill it out. I still suggest you start it by hand because you can control it. You can get your angle proper to start your drill bit, because once you start drilling off, you're way off. So now you see that? Now that just wants to bury itself right in there now. So now we can take these out. Take this out. And our holes are perfectly right there. And now you can see where they're going to be. Now it just wants to go. It wants to draw itself right in there. Very little resistance. And that's the thing with this wood. The problem is with woods is they strip out really easy. How many guitars have you had where you've messed with the claw and then you're like, oh no. It's stripped. It's coming right out, and then you have to, of course, get in there with either epoxy or some kind of filler. But this is a perfect angle. It's staying right where I need it to stay. Oh, yes. Very, very nice. Okay, now I'm not going to go any farther than that right now, but you see how these are perfectly the same. And I'm not putting a lot of pressure. This is walking itself right in. So, like most of these woods that you get, they're not hard. They're soft when it comes to drilling. So, bring it back out. There we go. And there we go. There's our claw. Our claw is now installed, and you can see it free floats. And that's exactly what we needed. Now, if we flip the guitar over, you'll see we didn't go through anything. There's nothing damaged. There's no splits. There's no cracks. And there we go. And that's how I do that. Now, if we bring that back in, you'll see that my original spacing that I did, my ghetto method with the guitar pick, is dead on. And that is the spacing, exact spacing that we started with. And as long as you can eyeball it, you can measure it if you like, but as long as you can eyeball it left to right, make sure it's centered, you're good. And that's the name of the game. So when our bridge is in, and I should have explained this to you first, I'll do it now. Let me take the trem arm out here. There we are. I'm going to remove my screws again. I'm going to lose those. But now when our tremolo is in, I'm going to sit it down just like this. And you'll see that that's kind of going to be in the center right there. Okay, because we want it to work the way it's supposed to be. You're going to notice now that when you hook your springs on, as long as everything is correct and the body's correct, which is important, everything is going to line up perfectly. So this is going to line up perfectly with this hole. This is going to line up perfectly with this hole. However many springs you want to run. And now we can back this out where we need to back it out. I didn't drill in all the way in case we need to drill in or screw in more. But there you go. There's that. And there's our cover. And as you can see now, you can see our trim system right through the cover the way it's supposed to. So it's pretty close to original. One thing that's not original is the cut of the front. And I don't know why they did that. Maybe it's for trademark reasons, copyright reasons with this. But what's nice about these is you can put an SH in it, or a single, whatever you want to do. We're also, why we're here today, let's let's take this and shield the cavities. You want to do that? While we're here, why don't we shield them? Because it's something that needs to be done. A lot of people use copper. I use aluminum because it's cheaper and it shields just as good. So it's just cheaper for me to get the aluminum. If you prefer copper, go ahead. It's still aluminum, still shielding. It's not doing any better or worse job. And this is what I use right here. So it's just a, you can use it for shielding. You can use it for many different things. But it's pretty good right there. Come over. Okay, and round it over like this. Yes, when you do a lot of shielding, you kind of get used to it a little bit. Oh, I was way off. We're pretty close there, and now I'm going to do a round over. Like so. And this is conductive on both sides, in case you're wondering if you're ever going to do any conductivity through it. But this makes a good Faraday cage. And then we're going to come up on our edges here, like so. I'm going to mark it right here, like so, with my hand. And we're just going to take a bit of this off right down through. Now that I got a generalization of where. What I'm going to do is start this edge right here. And I'm going to drop it, of course, a little bit below the body surface. And I'm going to push it, start it down. And you want to push the, I've done a lot of these, so I'm kind of used to this. But if you're not, don't get frustrated, because you just start over, do it again if you need to. Smooth all this in. You just, you work it with your fingers. You make it, this looks a lot aesthetically pleasing. So let me show you what I got here so far. There you are. And there's our shielded cavity, one of them. And of course, we're going to do more. That's right. So now, of course, this is not quite perfect, right? They don't make these quite perfect. Never do. So what I'm going to do is approximate it like we did before. Give myself a little cut right there at the angle. And I'm going to roll my edges a little bit. A little bit. Now you can see we're going to fit in there a lot better. There, that's where I want it. There we go. Now I can press and make it stick where I want it to stick. And then you come over to where we were right here. I'm going to put a slit, or a cut right there. Drop this down onto our, right into there. Drop this down right there. And hopefully this one will be long enough. Very cool, right? So now we've got a choice. We can either take this and carry it over here, which I think I'm going to do. Or we could have wrapped it up into the next one, which I am not going to do. So I'm going to pull this off a little bit because I'm a little bit of an angle I don't want to be. Okay, I didn't press it down too much. There we are. And now that covers up that last little bit over there. Very awesome. See this, right, guys? It's looking pretty good, right? Okay. So remember, we've got a hole over here that we're going to have to find again, apparently. There is that hole. There's that hole. So I'm going to put the hole back in here so we know where it is. There we go. That's going into our jack. And actually, while I'm right here, I'm going to file that hole out a little bit because a lot of wood shavings in there. There we are. Screwdriver in it, rolls it around. There we go. So now we have our hole There we go. Not too shabby. I think that's going to work out fantastic. Took a bit of time, a little bit of patience, of course, but definitely well worth it. Yeah, that looks great. I think that's going to work out fantastically. What do you guys think? Next thing we're going to tackle in another video is installing the bridge. Before we drop in this awesome, amazing pre-wired pit guard with vintage style pots and wiring, we're going to make sure everything's going to fit right. We don't want to drill for this and then be off with the neck. The neck is the next most important part, and we may be able to set the bridge depending. But thanks for watching Fulton Street Beats. Just this quick guide to some quick shielding and installing your cover and your claw. There you go. Thanks, guys. I'll talk to you soon.